Although, you know, in the immediate aftermath of Mr. Kirk's assassination, we saw again that type of depravity play out on quite large swaths of the left. So there's a deep sickness that's in this country right now, and it pains me a lot to acknowledge it.
Yeah, the amazing thing is you look at Portland, and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, I mean, just violence. It's just so crazy. And then you talk to the governor, and she acts like everything is totally normal. There's nothing wrong. It's almost like, are you waking up from a dream or something? You see it on your network. You see it all over the place. And it's so bad. It's so crazy. It's like the movies you see for the kids, I guess not only the kids, adults also, where you have these bombed out cities and these bombed out people. It's like worse than that. I don't think they could make a movie as bad. And then the governor will get up and say, I don't know why they're coming here. It's such a wonderful place. And the amazing thing is the people want us to be there. The people, when they get the real people that live there, many of them have left, but the real people want us to be there. The same thing in Chicago. So they've had 60, 70 murders over a short period of time. Murders, people that got shot. They've had hundreds of people shot, and then a guy like Pritzker, or this low IQ mayor, gets up. I mean, he got up, he's got a 5% approval rating, and the people are all against him. They want people to come. Beautiful black women are wearing a MAGA hat last night on television. Beautiful people. And they said, we don't care who comes, just stop the crime. They don't care, frankly, they don't care if it's National Guard and military. Send in anybody you want, stop the crime. And they're afraid to go out. They can't even go out. And then a guy like Pritzker, think of that, 50, 60, 70 people over a short period of time murdered, actually murdered, mostly gun violence, but knives, but gun violence, they're murdered, and hundreds of people shot. They had one weekend where they had like 18 murdered and 71 shot. But they said, you know what their excuse is? Yeah, but it was a long weekend. In other words, it was a long weekend, so that was okay. And then Pritzker gets up and he says, like, I don't know what they're talking about. We don't have crime here. They're crazy. I think actually they're petrified. You know, their families live there, everything else. I actually think they're scared. Pritzker was a failure in his family. They threw him out of the family business. Guy's a loser. But you know what? They actually, I believe they're scared. They're actually frightened for their lives. Jack, please say a few words.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany. And it's now been just under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie Kirk. This sickness that's out there is absolutely real. And Mr. President, thank you for mentioning the fact that one of the bullet casings read, "Hey fascist, catch" on it. One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now, Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa. And all of us around this room that have studied Antifa, we're very familiar with these symbols. And Mr. President, I think the situation is getting worse. When you look at people like Luigi Maggioni in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern of more and more murderous violence. And this same violence is not just random. It is targeted assassinations, which are getting worse. And every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff, we are now under that threat every single day. And working there at Turning Point USA, and I've spent just about the last month out there in Phoenix with Erica, with the family, with the team. And I will tell you this, Mr. President, even though going through something like that, which is an absolute nightmare, and people say, you know, what was it like to speak in front of all those people? It was horrible. Every second of it was horrible. but we're not going to quit. And Turning Point USA is continuing the tour that Charlie was on. We had 6,000 people when we went back to Utah. We had 5,000 people last night in Montana, if you can believe that. We are continuing to organize on campus. We are getting more and more people coming out in the face of this threat, knowing what happened to Charlie. But Mr. President, we need to do something about this, because I fear that the next one who could be killed could be sitting at this table right now. And we're not going to stop, but they need to stop, and they will not stop until they are stopped. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it very much. One thing I have to say is that Washington, D.C. was almost as bad. I don't know what could be worse than Portland. You don't even have stores anymore. They don't even put glass up. They put plywood on their windows, but most of the retailers have left. But Washington, D.C. was so bad. And Pam, I'd say it took 12 days to really make it pretty good and a month to make it great. And now people are going out to dinner. The restaurants are booming. They don't have enough seats. They're opening up new restaurants because many of them closed. And people are walking down the street totally safe. A reporter, I'm not sure if she's there. I can't see somebody reported there. She is. She was violently assaulted. And I don't know, she tends to be somewhat liberal, but she wasn't liberal on this one. I appreciated your honesty, but that won't happen again. It won't happen again. You're lucky you're alive, frankly, with what happened. I know exactly what took place. So Washington, D.C., our capital, we thought we'd start there appropriately, and it's safe, and people are so happy. They're so happy. And now it's a couple of months. I went to dinner there. I felt totally safe. I gave a press conference right in the middle of the street, which I don't think Secret Service was thrilled about. But, you know, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to do it 6 months ago. It's incredible what happened. Now we're in Memphis. As you know, we're having a great impact in Memphis. It's been only a week, but it's, Cash, I hear it's been amazing what's happening there just very early. But you take a look at D.C. and you take a look at some of the other. We've had a big impact. What we haven't said, because Pritzker said, well, crime is going down in Chicago. Well, 5 months ago, Cash went to Chicago with a lot of FBI agents just to prepare it so that we went in with, I guess you could call it a surge, call it whatever you want, but would be even more effective. And we're going to be doing that, and very, very strongly doing that, because Chicago is a very unsafe city. It's a great city. The head of the Union Pacific Railroad said, sir, please save Chicago. It's a great city. It can be saved. Other cities are gone. I mean, they're lost. They can get better, but they're just really, they've been so decimated. But I'm so proud of what they've done so quickly in D.C., and it's taking place quickly in Memphis, where we were asked to go by the mayor and by the governor. And it's really incredible what we can do and how fast we can do it. Let's go for two more. Would you like to go? And then Katie, you'll go. Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here. And not to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be said that Antifa is real. Yeah. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they're causing mayhem over there. And the reason why they're such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it if we have large swaths of, these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform, they don't want to say that it exists. Because the common who are supposed to inform say that it exists. Because the common argument is like, well, they're not a real organization because there's no national leadership, they don't have a national headquarters, so how can law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? Well, law enforcement goes after criminal groups that organize to rob banks or do smash and grabs. They don't have a registered LLC, they don't have official membership cards, they don't have a business address, but law enforcement still goes after them because they're working as a group. These people don't just show up, randomly at the same time to do the same thing, dressed in a very similar fashion, espousing the same ideology. And they say, well, it's an ideology. It's like, well, yes, it's an ideology because there's people alive, present, that believe in it, and they're acting on it. And so I've been very well aware of what Antifa's been doing. I was very busy during the riots in 2020. That was probably my most exposure to them prior to this year. I've been at the ICE facility at Broadview. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, unfortunately, but that's where I grew up around. Like I said, I was in Portland. I was covering the riots in Los Angeles as well.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV 18 on all of our digital platforms.